two things that I was responsible for doing in council tonight, since you want to know. One is putting another 400,000 back into local economy to create more apprenticeships, to support the CAB in working with local people who are under pressure from the Tory cuts, and also working with small businesses to try and create new job opportunities. And the other thing, when the question was asked, why are you seeking 1,000 job cuts? I said, we're trying to do the exact opposite. We're trying to find a way to protect local council services as effectively as we can, make sure there are as few, if any, job losses as we can manage, and certainly try and do everything we can to avoid compulsory redundancies. That's what Labour councillors up and down this country were elected to do, and that's what we're going to try and do. People can mock as much as they like, but that is what we're trying to do.
Chair Halifax Labour Party again. Just picking up on one or two of those points. I mean, we can get carried away to a degree by the amount of feeling out there. Now, I went to a meeting of my trade union, and I'm also the branch secretary of Leeds City Council Unite, and I listened to Tony Woodley addressing 120 of our activists. And what our assistant, well, Joint General Secretary, as he was then, was saying is, a lot of people out there actually accept the need for cuts. We've actually got something of an educational thing to do in terms of the actions we're going to be taking in convincing people that the deficit, it's not about the deficit, it's about reshaping the state. That's the first point I'd like to make. But also, on the issue of jobs, we discussed this at the Halifax General Committee of the Labour Party last week, Friday of last week. And we came out in the position that we want to see our councillors make every effort to avoid compulsory redundancies. We said basically that job loss has a traumatic effect on individuals. It also has a traumatic effect on the local economy. And we do not want to see that. And we're making every effort for that to be avoided. As for the Liberal Democrats, some who in the Labour Party have a slightly different point of view on the Liberal Democrats, given the position that they took on child benefit, given the absolutely, one has to say, obscene position that they've taken on tuition fees. It does feel a little bit like getting into bed locally with Judas Iscariot, you know. Not to put too fine a point on it, but I'm sure that is something that, you know, that's a discussion that will continue.
Yeah, I don't think it's about mocking or anything like that. I think what it's about is we have a situation where there's a national Conservative Lib Dem government that's driving through massive attacks, and are local Labour councillors going to actually go along with that, or absolutely 100% fight it? And I think you're saying that you don't, I mean, I don't doubt your sincerity. You know, Sue didn't doubt Gordon Brown's sincerity when he thought he'd solved the boom bust thing. But, you know, at the end of the day, you're going to end up carrying through those cuts, aren't you? You might be able to ameliorate it slightly or whatever, but actually, you know, I'm sorry, but I'm not with you on that. You know, we are against the cuts coming through. Now, that's your political project, that's where you are, right? If we can work with you in any way, shape or form, I want to work with you. But if you're going to carry cuts through, then we're against you. I think it's premature to talk about standing anti-cuts candidates. I don't think we're, you know, we might get there eventually, I don't know. I want to keep everybody on board at the moment, right? But the bottom line has to be, we are against the cuts, right? And that's Conservative, Lib Dem cuts, nationally, right? And being imposed locally by whatever political formulations there are in terms of particular councils, which here is actually a Lib Dem Labour coalition, right? You know, and I don't understand, you know, why you'd want to be in that situation, to be honest with you. You know, and I think it's very interesting that you start to talk about, well, actually, there's quite a lot of people out there that accept the need for the cuts. I think that's actually playing to the worst instincts. I think we have to be up, right? I'd love, right, what should be here tonight, ideally, what we got here today is great, but there should be, like the comrade who's gone from the Huddersfield thing, you know, he said, where are the local branch secretaries? You know, where's my NUT association secretary, right? You know, where are these people? Where are the Labour councillors who are coming along and saying, we are going to lead a fight against this, right? Rather than, you know, oh, we're in this difficult situation, the Tories would be far worse. we're in a situation where you're either implementing cuts or you're fighting back against them. And I want you to join us and fight back against them. And I think that's what most people in the room want you to do, to be honest with you.
Can I just answer that? Kevin was looking at me when he said that.
Barry, please.
It's only very brief.
Barry.
It's only
Please,
very
Barry.
brief, Joe.
Please, Barry.
All right.
Well, I can actually feel the predicament that these councillors are in.
Yeah.
Having said that, I was very opposed to that group when there was a question of the academy, as Alice knows, you know. So, and I was impressed by some of the Liberal Democrat councillors on their stance in the anti-academy. So I'm wondering if they are in a coalition with the Liberal Democrats, can't we get the Liberal Democrat councillors here? Can't we get, you know, an agreement of what we want? You're saying you have to work in relation with them. Well, let's say, well, they have to come and they have to work in relation with us. And together, the group and the Liberal Democrat councillors and the Labour councillors can come to some decision as to what we want them to do. I don't know yet what we're asking them to do, but you're as powerful as the Liberal Democrat councillors. You both need each other, and you both need us, basically. So we want them here, and some of them are good people from my limited perspectives of them. I assume that Mom, not Mom, you know who I mean.
Alice.
The NUT.
Yeah, you're right.
She, you know, she worked very hard on that point,
Yeah.
and I was all for her, and I was very strongly, you know, but I think we have to be realistic with these two people here, even though I was very, very upset about the academy and their stance on that, and say, what do we actually want to ask of them? And what we want is the Labour councillors here, I mean Liberal Dem councillors here as well, some of them, and say, are you prepared to say we won't do any cuts that are going to be against frontline services, and, you know, spend the reserves if you need to, and accept voluntary redundancies from those who want to go now, rather than, you know, go for compulsory redundancies later.
I'd just like to say that at the moment, I think the question of the political party arena or who did what to whom is a bit of a peripheral issue. It's an important one. I think that people should have the right to discuss and have discussions about, and I think that's important. But at the moment, if you put all the political parties together, the memberships of all the political parties together, they're a drop in the ocean to what we need. You know, what's important to back up what this guy said earlier is the experts that are in this room. It's really important for tonight. And you are an expert. You will know people who are getting these cuts. You will have expertise to give and so on. And I think the most important thing to make sure you've done tonight is to make sure that there's your contact details are sort of clearly with us, so that we can use all our respective networks to build the next action. We'll need to call a meeting to decide what our next action is. You know, throw yourself into that, whatever political party or none you're in. And you know, I'm a member of the Socialist Workers' Party for what matter that is at the moment. But you know, we need to concentrate on what we have here. The ordinary people that are suffering these attacks. That's what will move forward, and that's, as the guy says there, that's when the so-called experts and leaders will start to follow us, as when we actually move. And it's, you know, it's echo what people have said. We need to get the unions involved and all the rest of it.